While Judith Resnick was preparing for the flight, she talked about what it meant to be the second female astronaut. Sally Ride had been the first.
Is there anything that needs to be said about the second woman in space? The U.S. woman?
I'm very comfortable flying with this crew. We have gotten along very well from the beginning. We work well together. We have a good time in training. I'm very comfortable with the whole mission in general, and I view myself as part of the team. There's 6 of us, and I have about 1/6 of the responsibility, and the other guys have about 1/6, and that's the way we intend to do it on orbit, and we're all very comfortable with that, and I'm very confident of their abilities, and I think they're very confident of my abilities in the areas that I have responsibilities, and I trust them in the areas that I don't know that much about to go do the right thing, and we have that mutual trust among us, and I think that will make for a good mission because we have a good crew.
What does Judith think about going to space?
Well, I'm eager to go.
A long time waiting.
I've been here for 6 years. I think it's about time, the right length of time to be at NASA and working in the system before you go fly. There are a lot of people who have waited longer for flights. There are some who have waited less time for flights. I'm very satisfied with where I am right now. I'm ready to go fly this mission with the rest of the crew, and I hope after the mission's over that NASA wants me to fly another one.
Judith Resnick, before the flight, which was delayed 2 hours today as NASA checked for icicles on and around the spacecraft. 28 degrees in that part of Florida this morning, unusually cold there, and they delayed the flight for a couple of hours to check for icicles. That interview done with Judy Resnick as she awaited the flight, not today, but at another time, as she was waiting to become the second woman, second American woman in space. Mark well that she said she'd been waiting 6 years. She'd been preparing 6 years for this flight into space. And we're told that as many as 2.5 million students in the United States and Canada may have been watching the live television coverage today in what was called the Classroom Earth Project. They were watching when the Space Shuttle Challenger exploded. The project was designed to relay teacher Krista McAuliffe's lessons back to pupils. And there's no doubt in my mind that the teachers involved in that project before and perhaps just after today's terrible event were reminding students, as we can all remind ourselves, how much dedication goes into being an astronaut, how long it takes to prepare. It's homework, homework, homework. It's grueling, it's taxing, and it takes as long as 6 years, in Judy Resnick's case, 6 years of preparation before one gets one's chance to be a space voyager, which today, for the first time in the history of the American space program, ended in disaster as the Space Shuttle Challenger exploded about 72 to 75 seconds into its flight. The explosion and the fire happened about the time the Challenger was to enter a period of maximum aerodynamic pressure when wind and other atmospheric conditions would place the maximum force on the outside of the vehicle, and the last words heard from the shuttle were Roger, throttling up. And that meant they were going to go from about 60% of their maximum throttle to take it back up. And just after that came the small explosion, which you saw in our slow motion videotape. Unclear whether that happened in the main, near the main fuel,
or happened
more on the solid fuel rocket booster. If you're asking yourself, well, what was this space flight designed to accomplish? Each of the shuttle missions has a different set of goals. They have maximum goals, and then they have other goals that they would like to achieve. Among the ones that this particular space voyage were supposed to accomplish was to release and retrieve one satellite to study Halley's Comet, and then launch another satellite to become part of the space-based shuttle communications network. Teacher McAuliffe was to teach 2 15-minute lessons on the 4th day of the mission. And public broadcasting service in this country was to carry the telecast, that is, of the teaching sessions live, and hundreds of schools, as we mentioned earlier, were tuned in today and would have been tuned in later on in the week for those lessons from space, which now or never to be. Our old friend Leo Krupp, and a longtime associate with CBS News, former Rockwell Shuttle research pilot, is in our newsroom in Los Angeles. Leo Krupp, on this day of this terrible tragedy, good afternoon.
How you doing, Dan? I'm sorry we have to meet under these conditions again.
Well, I am as well. Leo, you've been watching our coverage and listening to what's being said. What perspective and context can you give to what has happened, and what do you believe happened?
Well, Dan, first of all, I don't think anyone can really say for sure until NASA has a chance to analyze all the data and look at their telemetry downlinks and try to put this thing together. However, in looking at the tape, which I just finished doing a second ago, I think we can all be pretty sure that this accident occurred going through the area of maximum dynamic pressure, which is the point of the mission where the maximum aerodynamic loads are on the vehicle. This could affect the SRB exhaust nozzles and a few other things, as well as the aerodynamic controls of the vehicle. But it appeared it happened during that high Q, or high dynamic pressure region, and it also happened just after the crew had throttled back up to 104%, which would put maximum pressure in the SRB nozzles. And in looking at the tape, you can determine just before the explosion, there appear to be some flame leaks coming out of the left SRB nozzle. Just forward of the nozzle, there appear to be a few flame leaks coming out of there, and these persist for a fraction of a second, and then finally a large one comes out and impacts the shuttle. Appears to be right in the area of the belly of the shuttle. And
you hear me all right?
Yes, I do.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but you know so much about space vehicles and this space shuttle. I want to pause for just a second, put up the videotape of what happened this morning, and have you go back over in the simplest, most elementary terms of what happened and at what moment it happened, and go back over this videotape with some of the information you just gave us, please.
Okay, if you run the tape, Dan, I'll try to do a voiceover on it.
Thank you. It's going to take us just a second here, Mr. Krupp, to get the videotape re-queued.
While we're waiting, Dan, another thing that might be a factor in this problem is the abnormal weather conditions that Florida was experiencing. Okay, we're running the tape now, and everything appears to be normal at this point. And when we switch from this tail shot to the side shot, you see those little flame leaks? And if you could go very slow motion through that area, you can see these flame leaks, and then you can see one of them impact right on the vehicle. There you can see the little flame leaks just forward of the nozzle.
Let's try to stop it right there if we can. When you talk about flame leaks in the middle left-hand center of your screen.
Right. Now, these appear to be coming out of the left SRB just forward of the nozzle area, but it's hard to tell. You know, they could be coming from the tank, too. But
excuse me, Leo, by SRB, you mean solid rocket booster is SRB.
That's right.
And you think they appear to be coming out of there?
It appears to be that it's coming out of the area of the left SRB nozzle, just forward of the nozzle.
Now that's the solid rocket booster, not the liquid fuel tank.
No, the liquid fuel tank I don't think would have flame leaks of that nature, but it's hard to tell. NASA, when they get their data, might be able to determine this. But once this explosion occurs, then you later see what appears to be the right SRB coming out of this cloud, and it's still fairly intact. But once the explosion occurred, the whole vehicle became probably separated, and I don't think it's significant to say that the one SRB came off ahead of the other one.
Leo Krupp, right
there you can see the SRB coming out.
Right, just in the upper right-hand quarter of the screen.
Yes. Now, I assume that's the right SRB, but I can't be certain, of course.
Leo Krupp, you've worked with us before on our little models, and if you can watch your monitor there, I think it's, insofar as we can, we want people to understand exactly what happened. NASA will at some point, we hope soon, but as soon as they know, tell us why it happened. Now, Leo Krupp, the former Rockwell Shuttle research pilot, has gone through talking about the SRBs. These are the solid rocket boosters on the side of the space shuttle. This is the liquid tank on which the space shuttle rides. Now, what we saw falling away after the explosion, Leo Krupp, check me as we go along here, was a large piece of the right-hand side solid rocket booster.
It appeared to be the entire SRB, the entire solid rocket booster, and I assume it was the right one because it looked like the left one was the one that exploded.
All right, so it looked to you, and I just want to check and watch me to go here, that it was the left solid rocket booster. At either that solid rocket booster or perhaps this area between the two where you saw what you described as possible, what did you call them, fuel leaks?
Flame leaks. It looks like a burn through, but it was well aft on that thing down near the nozzle of the.
All right, down in this area, was it?
Yes, way down near the bottom, right just forward of the nozzle.
Now let me make sure I understand, Leo Krupp, that from looking at the slow motion of the videotape, that it looks to you as there might be what you call a flame leak down in this area of the left-hand solid rocket booster.
Yes.
Now, then, of course, once there is an explosion, the highly volatile liquid hydrogen in the larger tank